welcome to the Historic Preservation Review Board. This is a citizen board appointed by the town council. When you come forward to make a presentation, if you would, before you get started, introduce yourself and give us your address, just as a preliminary matter. So welcome and thank you all for being here. The first item of business would be the roll call.
Mr. Owens.
Here.
Mrs. Hartshorn.
Here.
Mr. Weaver.
Here.
Mrs. White.
Here.
And Mr. Geisler.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The next item is the approval of minutes. We actually have two board meetings to approve the minutes from, the March 3rd regular meeting and the March 24th special called meeting. If you are okay with it, I'd like to defer approving the special called meeting. I noticed it looks like there's quite a few things that need to be shored up on those minutes. So why don't we go ahead and just deal with the March 3rd meeting and defer the other minutes until our next meeting, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have any changes or additions to the March 3rd, 2021 meeting minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for March 3rd.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Owens.
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn.
Aye.
Mr. Weaver. Mrs. White.
Aye.
And Mr. Geisler.
Aye. All right, so we have a pretty long agenda here, so we'll try to work through this as expeditiously as possible. The first is no stranger to this committee, this board, Mr. Jeff Johnson. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Jeff Johnson. I live at 102 East Main Street. The certificate of appropriateness application that you have before you is on some work that is overdue that we're going to be doing as far as repointing some of the brick, replacing some of the brick that's been damaged, storm windows, along with bay window repairs. I submitted just a brief outline along with some photos. The paint that we will be going back with is the same color as far as on the bay window, and any of the storm windows will be Sherwin-Williams white 7006. The mortar that we're going to be utilizing for the repointing is a Limeworks lime-based mortar. It's actually number 150. Which is about as close as we could get to the existing. The McNews, who are masons within the area, will be doing the work for us. The storm windows, Mr. Boswell, if you've got one more. These are storm windows that we had previously installed on the double under a prior COA. The storm windows are red Grandis with 1/8 inch glass. Tom McIntyre builds those for us. We've got clasp on them. This is on the triple pane, and then you've got a drip edge over the top. You know, with we use copper there. This is just work that's long overdue. Sometimes feel with an older home that you're chasing your tail. But I've been more than willing to answer any questions or anything you may have.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Johnson?
I have one.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Johnson. On the mortar, would you just explain that mortar again? You know, we have to be careful about the mortar.
Yes, ma'am. This is, if I may approach.
You may.
Ms. White, this is a company, it's called Limeworks. It's a lime-based mortar that you can get.
Oh, right.
And with the lime, as you
Yes.
know, it expands and contracts the brick. The porosity on the brick on the older homes actually breathes a
Yes.
absorbs
Right.
back and forth. This mortar, instead of a Portland mix, is a lime-based. This is the color we're gonna be going with, which is a DGM 150.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which matches what you've got there the best.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am. That's about as close as we can get.
Right. So what we try to avoid, of course, is exactly what you said, the Portland cement fix for mortar, and so he has.
Yes, ma'am.
What
Do you
what are you gonna
have-
use for replacement brick?
We, whenever we moved in 2013, under a prior COA, we actually saved some brick. We had to redo a chimney, and we saved some of that brick. And we've got a couple that will match up.
Right there.
All the damaged. So these are brick from the original structure
Oh, okay.
that I've got saved over at the farm.
All right, any further questions?
No.
Is there a motion to grant the certificate of appropriateness?
I move we approve the application as presented.
Is there a second? All right, it's been moved and seconded, roll call.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn,
Aye.
Mr. Weaver, Mrs. White,
Aye.
and Mr. Geesley.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you.
Good to see you.
All right, the next item is a certificate of appropriateness for Bob and Susan Howard, 122 Valley Street.
I'm Bob Howard. I live at 122 West Valley Street. Ever since I retired, I've been given several new projects, and I'm thinking about going back to work, but we won't discuss that.
We
Anyway,
can't
what I
help you
propose
on
to
that
do
one.
this evening is just, the wife would like 3 raised beds, 4 by 8. In fact, the place we found the best sun is in where the dogs hang out, so we're trying to build a small fence around these 3 raised beds. It'd be the same type pressure treated wood, same pattern,
Mhm.
fence pattern. So that's basically the project.
It's the same pattern as the fence that's
Yes,
already around your.
yes.
Think of, as a matter of fact, I think you're using some of the,
Some of the old
Pickets.
boards, yes.
and what's the height gonna be?
I think it's, what is it, between 36 and 42 or something. It'd be the same height as the current fence.
It's just gonna match that?
Yes,
completely.
yes.
What did we approve last time you were here? Was it the?
It was
not this?
I had this same type fence going up the side hill, and
Okay.
due to one of the dogs
Was
ability
jumping out of
to
the fence
leap
or
out,
something? Yeah.
we had to raise the height of the fence up
Okay.
to, which I did.
So that, where the gate is gonna be right there on, I don't see it on the second picture.
New gate would be.
This is, the yellow is the current fence, so it'll be a
Okay.
new gate right there into this area.
Okay.
which the-
Oh, I see it, yeah.
And 4-inch posts, those
Yeah,
would be.
4
new?
by 4.
4x4.
Pressure treated.
All of this is in line with the guidelines on fences in the backyard.
Any questions or comments? Is there a motion to grant the certificate of appropriateness?
I'll make the motion.
It's been moved, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded, roll call.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn,
Aye.
Mr. Weaver, Mrs. White,
Aye.
and Mr. Geesley.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody like to help out? You dig it some post holes pretty soon.
I'll
See you
send
next
Mason
month.
out.
All right, the next item is a certificate of appropriateness for Zane Triplet Foresta, 190 East Main Street. Welcome back.
You don't look like Zane to me.
No. Brian Cook with Jerry Signs. This is a hanging sign for a new restaurant that's coming in. It's made out of the same material what we normally use. It lasts a long time. It's a high-density urethane that's primed and painted.
Would you state the measurements?
Yeah, it's 19 1/4 inch by 30 inches.
Does someone do the math? Is that?
I think it is.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
right.
Yes, it's
It is.
just shy of 4 feet, yeah.
And it's gonna be the blue color with the white lettering?
Yeah, you're gonna have blue with white lettering. There'll be a black border around the outside.
And that's brackets there currently, right?
I believe so.
I think it is too.
Does anyone have any questions, comments? All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve.
You moved, is there a second? It's been seconded by Mr. Weaver. Roll call.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver? Mrs. White?
Aye.
And Mr. Geezer.
Aye,
Thank you guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next certificate of appropriateness, I think I butchered this last time. Chella's on Main. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Jessica Smith, and I'm wanting to open Chella's on Main. It'll be home gifts decor, 182 East Main Street.
Mhm.
And on my certificate of appropriateness, I asked for a change of door color. The front of the exterior of the building is white, but we would like to freshen that up, just repaint the white. The only color change would be the door. I brought a sample, if you'd like to see it. And also, when I had filled that out, we had not planned on it at the time, but there is an outlet for some outdoor lighting in the little area. So I wanted to see if I could get a outdoor light approved, and also mention the outdoor carpet. I was going to take the carpet up and fix the concrete to where it's level and not so cracked, and fix that area. I have pictures if you would like to.
Yes, I was
Yes, could
looking.
you, yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
that'd be great.
You-
You
You
can
can
show them
start
to
with
us if you
Okay.
want.
Here's the color.
Mhm.
Okay,
Um,
that's for the door.
That's for the door, just the door, not the whole frame or the
Mhm.
windows, just the door. This is the lighting, something kind of,
Mhm.
Do you have dimensions on that?
I can get.
Random
that.
dimension?
It would not be very large, because I had to look for something flush mount for light because of the way the door opens
Uh-huh.
to hit the glass.
Okay.
And it goes where on the building, the light?
And this shows some of that carpet, that gray on the stuff on the bottom.
Your light goes where on these
You
pictures?
can see the outlet right up there.
Oh, I see.
They
And
had
this
covered
is-
it with a thermometer, an outdoor, so I had no clue it was there until we took that down. You can see it right up
And this is
here.
the door you're gonna paint?
Yes, sir. Here's another picture if you'd like it. And
Mhm. Where's the light?
You can't see if you're, yes.
I'll show you the outdoor that shows it.
I think it's on this one.
Yes, sir. It's up here on the side.
Okay.
Did I see all the pictures?
You want-
I've seen them, I got it pulled up here too. Google Maps.
Did you wanna see the picture?
No, I looked at them already.
All right. Is there anything else?
That's all.
Anyone have any questions?
Wanted to ask you how you plan to fix the concrete. You were saying you were gonna fix the concrete?
When I met with Rick for the building, we were talking about some ways to do the 20% improvements for the handicap accessibility and stuff, and he had mentioned the concrete there is uneven, and fixing that to where there's no damage, and that outdoor carpet is pretty dingy under that little nook there. So just having someone, make it flush where there's no,
So you wouldn't put the
Concrete.
carpet back,
no
correct?
sir, no
Good.
sir.
Just gonna repair the concrete that's
Just,
there?
yes. So it would all match and coordinate.
Mhm.
There are some ADA considerations for that light fixture if the bottom of it is less than 7 feet.
Okay,
If it's less than 7 feet, it's not, the guideline is to not project more than 4 inches.
okay,
So you might want
I'll check
to
that.
remember that when you hang it.
okay.
All right, any further questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve it.
Accept the staff recommendation and approve the COA.
All right.
I'll
Been
second.
moved- Moved and seconded. So I guess the motion by Mr. Weaver, seconded by Dr. Owens. All right. Roll call.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
All right.
Mrs. White?
Aye,
and Mr. Geisler?
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is the certificate of appropriateness. Oh my goodness. Ayeb Al-Bassett? Was that even close? Oh, tonight's the challenge. Well, welcome back.
Well,
So,
everything you're gonna approve today is, you're gonna use it tomorrow. So, my name is Bassett, known as Papa Mia. And, I don't know if you have the picture in there or not, so
We do.
I wanna do,
It's a,
we wanna put some concrete in there. Basically, I wanna use it as a patio. Since I'm gonna, you know, lose the other one on the other side. And if you wanna go to the actual picture, there is a black line. That window's gonna be a door.
Where are you showing us right there?
That one, yeah. It's gonna be enlarged, and it's gonna be a door for the waitresses to come, of course, in and out.
Mhm.
So we're gonna widen the window to whatever the code is, 3 feet, I guess. And the green area is gonna be concrete.
Is the back edge of the sidewalk the property line?
Uh,
Is the back edge of the sidewalk the property line?
yes. So the concrete is gonna be above the sidewalk. Well, actually, it all depends how they're gonna do it. If they can't do it, then it has to be leveled with the walkway.
But it's going to, the grassy area is what you're talking about, that will be made into concrete for your
Yes.
patio?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
is there enough depth there for tables?
Yes, most of the tables, they're gonna be
That's not
from the
an issue.
first window and on. Maybe one over there to top, then as you go towards that way, it will be enough for 2 tables.
And you're not having any kind of a barrier between the sidewalk and your concrete
Yes,
pad?
yes, yes, yes,
You
it
are.
is, if you can show them the picture.
That was what, okay.
Yes, it's gonna be a fence like that. And basically the exact same connection with the concrete along that line of the
Mhm.
sidewalk.
And is there a company that's going to provide the fence? How are,
No, not really, I just brought the picture of the fence, just to show you how high is it and what does it look like, to be honest.
but it's definitely gonna look exactly like this.
Well, I'm gonna do my best to get it that way. I mean, to me, I mean, it's fine with that. I'm not really particular on these things, so.
But
That
the-
one.
The problem is we have to be.
Huh?
The problem is we have to be.
Oh, you have to be,
Yeah.
okay, so, whatever, I guess whatever you have on the code or the book, you tell me. To me, the most important thing is to put a fence. How is that fence? You tell me. I'll make it easy.
You can't do that.
And what kind of door are you gonna install? What,
The door that I'm gonna install is a typical glass door, just like the one in the previous picture. Like that one.
So there's another similar style metal fence, and that's what you're doing, is a metal fence?
Yes, another style, for
Yes,
example.
a metal
Yeah.
fence that's one or the other, and that particular height. I think the height might be a issue, to be sure that you have the right height of that fence.
Yes.
Okay.
what's the door on the front of your building like?
Aluminum. Aluminum and glass in the middle.
It's a storefront door. aluminum storefront.
Stop catching.
Everybody has to have an outdoor patio area now, don't they?
There it is.
Yes.
Going back to your fence, is it gonna be aluminum or is it gonna be wrought iron, steel? What material is it gonna be?
The fence,
Yes.
it's gonna be, I guess, metal.
And it'll be black like that fence there?
Yes, it has to be black to match the,
Yeah, match that.
even though that one, it's not that safe. But
Correct.
I can't change it.
Do you have a fence between the two brick piers that we see there? I seem to recall that is there metal there?
Can you
I'm not following. I'm sorry.
You see the two, to the left of the restaurant, you see, isn't there metal there?
I guess I missed that.
Between the columns?
Yes.
Yeah, that one is, yeah, that's a fence. That's like,
Is this gonna be exactly like that?
yes, I mean, something like that, yeah. Just like this one.
Well, just as the lady who was here before you, who had the paint color for her door, you know, we have to require information that is that specific. So, you know, is it gonna be like that one, or is it gonna be like the other one? You know, you have to tell us which one you're gonna try to do.
Okay, as far as design or as far as material?
Well, both. I mean, apparently, I remember we approved the fence that you have there now.
Okay, yes.
And so, if you're planning on exactly replicating that on the other side of the building, that would be helpful to know, because we've already, you know, dealt with that issue one time. So if it's going to be just like that, then that, I mean, it's a metal black fence, right, or is it either black or green?
Metal.
No, black.
Black.
Black metal. Black metal. And the other one is gonna be black metal too. But here's the thing, that one is a person, Mr. Keller, he's the one who made it. Now, in this situation, I'm not gonna have him make it, I'm just gonna go and buy it. So, to me, it's gonna be black, and it's gonna be metal. But where do I find it here in Abingdon or in the neighboring city? I don't know.
Well,
That's why I brought you that fence at exit 19, and that's what I'm going to approach to find it. And the time is.
I can't tell by the other photograph if that fence matches the other
It does not.
fence that we have approved.
And that one does not have well, I stand correct. I didn't
It
think
does.
I didn't think that one had ornamentation.
The only difference is the circles are not,
Overlapping.
overlapping, thank you.
And you can't get that fence again,
This black one,
correct?
I think
I'm sure I'll find it.
See, the issue we're dealing with is that we have certain guidelines that we have to follow in terms of materials and quality and how design and workmanship, all of those things. And so we can't just approve the idea of a black metal fence. We have to know the specifications of what black metal fence you're going to put in, just like the lady brought in the light fixture to show us what she's going to put that light fixture in.
Okay.
We can't just approve the idea of a black metal fence. We have to know with specificity what you're going to do. So, you know, it's not that the idea necessarily is a problem, it's just that we need the details. Just like the door, we need to know the details of what kind of door you're going to install. We can't just approve an aluminum door. We can't just, you know, we need you to tell us those details. And we're not here to design your wall for you or your door or any of those things.
Okay.
We're here to see if what you're proposing to do specifically complies with our guidelines. And so, you know, that's why we require the level of detail that we do, so that we all are on the same page about what's going to happen there. I mean, would it be possible for you to come back to us with the specific fence you're going to do and the
Bring-
specific door?
yeah. Bring it the specific, it's not a problem. Well, you might ask you, why didn't you bring it then? But I didn't think of all this. The
Well,
only problem is that me to see you again, that's gonna take another month and a half.
well, no, we can
yeah.
have a meeting for, just for you, if, we'll do that. We don't have a problem doing that.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, as soon as you can get it, we can have a called meeting
Well,
and
yes.
come listen to what you have to
If you said, I
say.
Thank
wanna
you.
do that fence except in black, would that be specific enough?
If that's specific enough, all I have to do is to tell them where did they get it from.
Well, I
To
think
me,
that's,
it's enough.
that's fine, except you've got to recognize that if then you're not able to get that and you do some other fence and it's not
It's not the same
complied
thing.
with our guidelines,
Yes.
you've got a problem.
Plus, we
Yeah, we got
also
a problem,
need,
yeah.
you might as well just come back with your, because we need to hear more about the door as well. So, we're
Okay.
talking about two things. Even if we said you can do that fence, we still haven't addressed what you're doing about the door.
Okay, okay.
To-
So can I
For-
ask
for-
this?
For me to simplify things, if you go back to the original picture of the door, the front door, to help simplify things for you, if you could say, I am going to duplicate that fence and that front door exactly the way they are on the other side, that would give us a great amount of detail as far as what we know you're gonna do versus, I'm gonna do this fence in black. We know specifically what that fence looks like, we know specifically what that door looks like. That would help us out a tremendous amount. If that's what your plan is, that we could probably move and approve, probably, I can't speak for the board, but I think that would help you and us simplify things.
I agree, and
okay.
then if you, and then if it turns out that you cannot get that specific fence, then you would come back. That would be my recommendation.
I think my only worries, I think you all answered that question a minute ago, which is very good. So that means if I bring some specific, all I have to do is talk to Mr. Boswell, and we can set up a meeting like
Mhm.
this coming week,
Mhm.
within problem resolved.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. One more thing, please. Now, the concrete, if you approve the concrete, for example, once you approve the concrete, does it mean I cannot do anything until you approve the fence and the door
You have to get approval before you can proceed, yes.
of anything?
Oh, you're asking if we can go ahead and approve the concrete
You
now.
could go
Yeah.
ahead and get your concrete poured, that's what you're asking?
That, exactly.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Sure, huh?
a question I would have, and this is probably a Jason Boswell question, is, you were talking about having it raised possibly or flush, is there a code?
Yeah, he'll have to pull a permit for pouring the concrete. He'll have to get an encroachment permit from the Public Works Department. And then he'll have to get with Rick Statcher, the building official, to make sure that there's not some ADA compliance or something for that concrete patio, for sure.
You understand what I was asking there?
Yes.
Good.
So we only, we can approve the idea that you can put concrete there, but then you have to actually get a building permit, and they will make sure that it complies with applicable building codes. We don't do that.
Okay, no, I understand.
And that's something that I can speak with Mr. Statzer tomorrow, and we can come out and have a conversation with you possibly tomorrow, Mr. Bissett,
Okay.
on that.
Make that Friday because tomorrow I'm not here. So you better eat pizza tonight.
Well, what if I'm not here on Friday?
I'm just mistaken.
You're
Okay,
making
so-
it difficult that way.
Is there, so you're gonna withdraw the request on the, we're gonna table the request on the fence and the door till you come back, and we're gonna just, grant or deny a certificate of appropriateness with regard to the concrete pad. Is that correct?
Yes, so if Mr. Boswell by Friday or Monday, me and him worked this out and he said, okay, you're good, go ahead and pour your concrete.
Mhm.
Then on Monday, I'll go ahead and pour my concrete. At the same, in the meanwhile, I'll bring you the specific about the fence and the door.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's,
And
Okay,
just
is there-
show you exactly what I'm gonna put in there.
Right.
Yes,
Okay, is there a motion?
thank you.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Roll call?
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
Mr. Geezer?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I'll see you Friday. See you Friday.
All right, I'll see.
All right, the next item is a certificate of appropriateness for Ramsay and Betsy White.
Oh. Shall I stay right here?
I don't have any issue with that.
Well, I'll practice this with, this is actually a COA that was approved, but over a year ago, and our timeline is a year that you have to do these improvements. So we've just put this out here again, we're ready to go. It's basically a garden plan, and there's a shed in the back garden near Plum Alley that that was built in the 1980s, actually. So it's beyond our historic district timeline anyway. But we want to paint it white to better match the house. And then there are a few pilasters, a couple of pilasters, and a small stoop portico, more of a stoop than a portico really, on that side that faces the house. So it actually isn't going to be seen once the new shrubbery grows up. It's within the garden. And the garden plan, I think you've got that down there, is that has been refined now over the space of this year, and that's the plan. So you see, the shed there is next to where that car is, that's Plum Alley.
Mhm.
We're putting a place to park a car finally. And then the shed is within the garden. There are 2 garden rooms surrounded by boxwoods. And a small fountain in that first room that's closest to the house. So in summary, there's really nothing that's going to be seen from anywhere except the color of the shed, which is going to change from brown to white. And the shutters that will match the shutters on the front of the house. That's why the front of the house is on there.
And this is exactly identical to what we already granted a certificate of appropriateness for before, except the details of the garden.
Yes. Well, yes, with one more exception. That portico there on the garden shed we've made it to have a little narrow stoop, narrow enough to put a little chair for me to sit in and look at the garden.
Okay.
There were only steps going up to it, but you see, it's right there. It's probably not even any bigger than it was, but I just have asked that there be a stoop there. But here again, it's within the garden that you can't see anywhere but the garden.
Where are the shutters? I didn't see.
The shutters, those shutters.
No, in the shed.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
There are shutters on the shed now, facing the garden. There are shutters, and they're going to be painted pretty much the same color they are now. But just, the whole thing needs painting. It's in a neglected state, for want of a better word.
And it's brown right now, and it's going to be white?
It's brown. It's not even painted, it's just stained brown, sort of barn wood, I guess, is what it is. Mrs. Worrell built that in the 1980s when she bought Marcella.
All right. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Not, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve the plan as presented.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved in second. Roll call.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
Mr. Geezer?
Aye. You abstained.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
You abstained.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Recuse yourself.
All right, the next item is the Fields Penthouse. Hello?
Tom Henderson, Town of Avenue Facilities Maintenance. So, I guess the first thing is there at the front entrance at Fieldspin House. I guess I should have told you the address again, 208 West Main Street. But, I think the last time we was here, we wanted a little more detail on the lighting. No, So that's the ceiling. So that's the front porch. That is the ceiling. So if you go on down there,
And that's the replaced ceiling, right?
that's the replaced ceiling on the front porch.
Okay.
That's the ceiling that Jim Moran put on there when he did this porch, replication.
In the mid-90s.
That's right.
And so the request is to match the back porch with this.
Correct. So, as you can see, I took several pictures of the back porch. It's pretty rough shape. It's been pieced together over the time, over the years. Since we're gonna redo the handrail and the post and all that, I thought that it would be appropriate to try to match the back with the front.
So you're going to do exactly what he did on the front porch there
Yes.
on the back porch?
Yes.
What kind of material did he use on the front porch, do you know?
They were, I don't know, about a ½ inch thick, probably maybe an inch and a half wide.
Wood.
The wood,
Wood,
yes,
yeah.
wood.
It does have a beaded edge. Are you
It
gonna be
has,
able to
that
replicate?
has a beaded edge on it, yes.
Are you gonna be able to replicate that?
I think we can find something that's pretty close to what that is. If
But-
not, we'll take something and make it look pretty close.
The ceiling is in bad shape back there. It is patched together. I went and looked at it. It's, lots of different repairs over the years, and it is coming apart. I'm afraid that if they try to scrape it and paint it, it's just going to disintegrate.
Yes, and then I think the last time we was here, we talked about the lighting, and putting in the can lights versus.
Right.
The thing about those slats on that, if I go to drill a hole for a 6-inch hole for a can light, it's just gonna splinter and blister them all to pieces.
Yeah, I also took a look at it, and it is in rough shape. I mean, I initially was against removing it, but it's kind of interesting. It doesn't look like it was there. I mean, it's hard to imagine that it was put there to be just left like that. I mean, it kind of looks like what you would do before you plaster a wall, but I
Right.
would be surprised that they were gonna plaster a ceiling outside.
I'd say that's probably what they used, was in slats for the plaster,
That's
and then
exactly
they just
what it
painted
looks like.
over 'em.
That is what it looks like.
But those have not stood up very well out there in the humidity of outside. I mean, there's obviously a lot of rot and breakage and.
Can I make a suggestion that'll make your life a little more difficult?
Sure.
Could you, when you take that down, could you put some screen on the bottom of the joist before you put
I've
the
already
new?
done planned on probably doing that. That way that keeps birds, insects,
Yeah.
bees, and everything else out of coming into the house, or the attic anyways.
Mhm.
Cause that's all open to it's just, well, that is just open to the addition part of the attic, the rest of it's closed off to the main house.
Oh, so that it opens right up into the attic?
Yes.
Which,
Yes. On the back addition.
on the back addition, the
Yeah.
kitchen. Are there any further questions or comments?
Is that the only idea?
No, I get another one, which is, right here is just the description of that's the can lights we use throughout the house. The only difference is they'll be for outdoor permitted, as far as being weather tight.
This is for the back porch that you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah, right.
yes. And that's what Mr. Weaver, suggested that we go with last time, so, and which we threw that ideal around anyways, so that'll make my life a lot easier.
What's the
And
color temperature on that light? Is it not that,
That right there,
is it, no, I'm sorry, on the can lights, it's not that bright.
no, the color settings, or the ones that I've got now, they'll do 25, 35, 45 blooms. So you can make it a kind of an orange or a bright daylight,
How many of those are you gonna put in?
probably 3 of them.
Yeah, I don't think we want it lit up like Walmart,
No, no.
just enough to meet the
then we approved the lights on the front the last time, but that's a spec of what it is. I think I just added that in there, but. So now, the main issue is the roof. So I got up in a bucket truck, tried to get an area view to let you see just how bad this roof is. It's rusted pretty bad, it's really thin. My opinion is it's well past, just being scraped and painted. I've had roof leaks in 2 locations in the past. It hasn't leaked over the last year, but, if you go back, there's that one where it's got the double hip valley there, Jason. You can find it, maybe on down. Right there is where we've had leaks in the past. That's just asking for trouble. There's nothing we can do to get around that, but putting on a new roof and a water and ice shield underlayment would help prevent any future leaks. That is 24 inches wide. Standing seam now is only 18, as wide as you can get. So that's the only other drastic change that there would be as far as appearance and look of the roof structure itself.
Unless you're coming down from Valley Street, it's difficult to even see that roof.
Correct.
And I don't think there'll be anybody that says, oh my God, that's 18 inches wide, not 24.
Correct.
Do you know when this particular roof was put on?
That I do not know.
You don't
It's
know?
been on there for a long time.
Yeah.
It's well past its life.
I don't think it's the original roof, though.
I don't think it is either, but it's well past its lifespan.
Yeah.
And your
It's so
proposal
thin
is
in
to
places,
replace it
it's
with-
wondered.
Replace it with standing seam.
Right.
In black, is that what color?
In black.
What it was at
Black,
one
black.
point? Yeah.
Will the detailing be the same as this one? I mean, I have 2 comments that I care about. One is that if it's gonna be black, I prefer that it would be a dull black and not a shiny
A
black.
flat black was what I was gonna go with.
And the detailing, of the roof is, in that picture that you showed, that has hip ridges that are covered with a continuous piece, but the first level does not have that. It has a crimped ridge.
Yes.
Are you gonna go back with that?
Well, see, for the main part of the house, like you said, has a ridge cap, I would like to just continue that on to even the addition part and have the ridge cap going across the top.
So right now, the main house has the ridge cap, but
But
the
the
kitchen,
But the kitchen and the dog trot just has
Has
the
the
hand
crimp.
crimped ridge. And then that way it all looks uniformal on both sections of the house.
Are you putting in new gutters too?
No, the gutters were replaced about 2 years ago. I've got to do some work on the downspouts. They got a little damage when we were doing the micropods, but they'll go back in kind, so.
can you show the detail of the ridge cap on the, that's the crimp.
That's the crimp.
Yeah.
And the ridge cap is. There you go.
It's pretty.
I
See,
can't
that
believe
doesn't- I mean,
it doesn't blink more than it does.
It looks like it's just flat. You know, on modern standing seam roofs, when they do a ridge cap, it significantly stands up above the ridge.
Right.
This doesn't do that.
Yeah, they flatten out the,
You can flatten
You can
that out
flatten out
whenever
the
they lay
ridge.
it down. You can make it stand up, 3 or 4 inches, or you can get it as close as you can. Just the ridge actually comes down further on top of the roof itself.
So you can try to make it as
Try to make
much
it-
like this
yes.
as possible.
Yes,
My objection to the raised ridge cap is that it looks so modern.
right. Well, that's ridge cap's probably 2 to 3 inches off of the roof in the center. And then, probably a regular modern day ridge cap is maybe 4, so.
So to summarize, you're going to replace this with a true standing seam roof with the ridge cap that are as much like this as possible.
Correct.
Flat black color.
Yes, correct.
And you know, with a standing seam roof, we don't permit the standing seam metal that has the styrations, the little ribbing between. It has to be perfectly flat.
Right.
A true standing seam.
True standing
Yes.
seam, yes.
Okay.
I'll make sure he gets it right.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? One thing, our guidelines say with regard to lighting, that non-original fixtures should be compatible with the style, scale, and period of the building, and mounted as appropriate to the style and design of that period. So I'm wondering how we approve can lights with regard to that guideline.
I thought we approved them because that addition was not original. Wasn't that what the reason was?
What, the kitchen?
Well, that's, I'm just asking that question. I mean,
How did we do?
sort of seem to be going along with can lights as being okay, but,
In the back,
yeah.
Because they won't be visible at all.
in the rear, right.
I think the issue was the wall-mounted lights would have never been there originally. ever.
Yeah.
And the can lights you'll never see. You know, obviously they're not, wouldn't be original to the building either. But if we have to have lighting out there,
Yeah.
that's not visible from
Yeah,
the
if
street.
we
other
have to
than-
have lighting, and this is it's a kitchen that has been connected to the main house, but it is the original kitchen
It is
that
an
was
original
connected to your
structure.
main but it is a secondary building in the back, and you have to have light.
It's wired for a wall fixture back there, isn't it?
There was a one wall fixture on that wall. And when they done when they added the bathroom in, they studded that wall out, and then they was able to come through the brick to be able to put one in. But now far as in the kitchen area, it's just brick to brick. There's no studs there to hide the wire inside or outside.
All right, are there any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'd like to move to approve as presented this application for the roof, for the lighting, and for the ceiling.
Thank you.
Is there a second? Mr. Weaver? All right, roll call.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
Mr. Beasley?
Aye.
You're taking good care of the Fieldspin house.
Trying to, thank you.
I have to commend him, he's gonna have that. So
Yes.
All right, the next item is certificate of appropriateness, Alex Martin, with regard to the Summers Building.
Hello again.
Hello again.
Thank you guys for coming back and working on this for
Well,
us.
thank you for the call meeting last time and for working with us on this. I'm gonna put this here. I think, Jason, you have this,
I've
right?
got it.
We all have.
Since I went through the trouble of putting
Is that
it on
what
the
you just
board,
gave
I'm
us?
gonna put it in.
Okay, that's what he just gave us.
And I have it up here too.
Great.
I've got it loaded.
Okay. My name is Nathan Berg. I'm one of the partners of Walbrook Construction, and we're the general contractor performing the work on the Summers Building. My address is 254 Valley Street, Northeast Avenue. All of you are somewhat familiar with this project. What we're presenting today is our best attempt to reduce the visibility of the rooftop penthouse that we presented to you last time. What I'll do, because again you had a chance to review that, what I'll focus on right now is pointing out the way this is different from what you saw before.
Okay.
Primarily, if you look at the emergency stairwell there at the top, what we were able to do is rearrange the orientation of the staircase to push that as far back from the main street facade as much as possible. And this actually is pushed back almost as far as what was originally approved. And so the visibility will essentially be the same as what was already approved. The second thing is that the penthouse is now pushed back from the front of the building on the courthouse side. As you can see, the elevator shaft remains where it was, and the reason why this was pushed forward to begin with is that there is a steel beam that passes right here. In order to have kept this back, that would have passed directly through one of the main structural supports for the entire building. And it was just deemed basically impossible to create some sort of structure to move this back. So this right here stays where you guys saw it last time. Again, the elevator door comes out right here, and so you have to have some way of getting to this portion of the building without going outside. And so this little bump out still exists, although everything is pushed back quite a bit further than what you already saw in the last meeting. As you can see, if you go to the elevations, or the renderings there, Jason, I think they're towards the back. Okay. So as you can see, these renderings basically represent what you will see once it's complete from these locations. Okay. So obviously from the courthouse main facade side, you'll still see the top of the elevator, which again in the original approved proposal, you could still see the top of the elevator. So this is slightly higher than what we had originally shown, and that was due to the clearances that the elevator company required. Okay.
Can I just ask you right there?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the elevator, in addition to being higher than what we initially approved, it also was moved
Correct.
forward. And it's
Right.
not being moved back under this proposal.
Correct. And
So both of those things are correct.
And when you say higher, how much higher are you saying?
I want to say it's about a foot higher, and David, or Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. It might not actually be higher, but it might be that you can see it more simply because it was pushed forward some because of that main
Do you
beam.
know how many feet it was pushed forward?
It was pushed forward.
4 feet or something.
Yeah. How many feet? About 4 feet. 4 feet. Yes.
Well, there was some comment somewhere along the way that the travel distance of the elevator was greater than you thought, which caused it to
Right.
have to be higher.
Right. So I think, again, I think it is a little bit higher. I think by 2 feet, and then it also had to be pushed
So
forward.
it's 4 feet closer to the front of the building
And 2 feet higher. Yes.
Okay, and then the penthouse,
Mm-hmm.
there's currently a beam up there now, close to the front of the building. Is that still going to be part of the penthouse?
That will be removed.
Yeah, that completely goes.
That goes away.
Okay, so will the front of the penthouse be then the next beam back, or will there be something else built?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So let's go back to that plan view, Jason, if you don't mind. That best illustrates it. So right now, the beam that you're seeing goes right here.
It's actually flush with the front edge of the elevator. It's all the way up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, so the main beam will be here. You'll still have this smaller box that will be, projecting out a little further than we would like. But again, our main goal is to make that addition less visible from the main front elevation.
And how tall is the little box compared to the elevator shaft?
It is a couple of feet lower than the elevator shaft.
If you go to the elevation.
If we go to the elevation, yeah. Up one, sorry. So, I cannot really see that very clearly, but you can see, I don't know if you can see that on your printout. So this, paper just that is the top of the elevator. The top of the, I'm seeing if we can see the top of the penthouse. Okay, so you have a difference of, this is not actually the top of the, that's a little bit lower. So you're looking at a difference of probably about 3.5 feet.
And the beam, the second beam back now, that will be the front of the penthouse area. The one
Correct.
that's up there. It won't be a new one, it'll be that one.
Right.
All right. And, all right, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No.
If you would just continue on then.
Absolutely. So, going back to those renderings, Jason. So, again, these are renderings that are to scale. They are a model of basically exactly what the building will look like once it's finished. And so.
The overhang, we're cutting the overhang.
Right, so something else that if you look up there today, something else that's making the structure appear larger is that there's a 4-foot overhang, which makes it much more visible. That will completely go away, and there will only be a 12-inch overhang.
A 4-foot overhang of what? A 4 foot of what? 4 foot?
It's a 4-foot eave, so that's the projection of the roof from the wall of the penthouse. The eave projects out 4 feet.
Of the penthouse? The 4 foot?
Of the penthouse currently.
Yes, okay.
What we are proposing, that projection will be 12 inches.
Oh, I see, okay.
So
Yes.
did you do that temporarily to keep the rain out? and
That's
then
correct.
So it won't stick out as far, it won't be as visible from the street because it will be backed up 3
Exactly.
of the 4 feet. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Right, so as you can see, by moving the emergency stairwell back, it will no longer be visible from the Main Street side. And by moving the penthouse back and reducing the size of the overhang, the penthouse will no longer be visible from that view.
And is part of this also to increase the height of the parapet wall?
That's correct. So what we will be doing is increasing the height of the parapet by 2 feet, but what we will use is a brick that will match the existing brick exactly. And I've actually secured terracotta tile that goes on top of the parapet wall. Some of the original terracotta tile we will reuse, and the rest we will source from vintage terracotta coping. So this will be original. The coping will be from an original time period that's within the age of when the building was
So
built.
a lot of the existing terracotta coping was cracked and pretty
Right.
much damaged. So we've saved all the pieces that were still intact, and we'll reuse those, but to make up the balance, we'll take the balance.
So we've really got 2 things here that we're looking at up there. One is the new structures on the roof being inconspicuous as possible.
Correct.
And the other one now is an addition, essentially an addition to the building, which is extending the parapet
Raising the parapet wall.
higher. Yes, so, I mean, I think there are 2 separate issues there to talk about.
Correct.
So, I'm just trying to understand, how, if you're on the roof, if you're on that little deck, how high will the parapet wall be from the deck, from the top of the deck to the top of the parapet wall?
About 8 inches.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
So,
See, if
yeah. So,
well, I can
Go ahead.
explain this, great.
Go ahead. Yeah.
David Berg, Smith Chapel Road, Meadowview, Virginia. So basically, currently on the lowest portion on the side elevation there, the lowest portion of that top of the parapet wall is flush with the current roof. Now we have to add 6 inches of insulation per code to the top of that roof, and then a new membrane. So that already puts us up 6 inches higher than the parapet wall, without any structure. Then you add a structure, that's another 12 inches, and so what you'll have is the balance of the insulation, the structure, the balance of that 2 feet would be what would be above the floor deck.
Right, that's, and what, by structure, you mean the floor structure?
Right, the joists, yeah, and beams.
And what will be the new height of the parapet wall from the cornice there that is visible, the white?
You wanna go to the elevation?
And I'm talking on the, like on the Main Street side first.
Right.
And I guess there's actually 2 different heights there right now, right? And it-
There are.
Yeah, it's steps,
It's
and so we'll,
stepped, yeah.
we'll keep that ratio, we'll preserve the,
So the existing parapet wall,
No, I mean over on the Main Street side.
okay, yeah.
I mean, I wanna talk about this too, but the Main Street down here.
On the Main Street side, sorry, Jason, we're going back and
I
forth.
think,
No, you're
south
fine, you're
elevation
fine.
probably.
It's lagging,
That's
so,
okay.
cause this is a,
There, this is the Main Street side, okay, and then kind of zoom in right there, that'll show the dimensions. Okay, so the existing parapet, is right on this dotted line, okay?
That
So how-
second one down?
Right here below, where it says existing parapet to be extended 2 feet, that dotted line is where the existing parapet wall is, the top of the existing
And
parapet wall.
how tall is it right now above that corner?
From here to here?
Yes.
I'm honestly, I don't know off the top of my head, and that measurement's on there, I can,
But that shows us the proportion of
Yeah.
increase from the
Mhm.
dotted line up is 2 feet more.
yes, exactly. And it comes here and then steps down, which is what the current, design is, and we'll follow that existing design.
So you're adding 2 feet at every place.
At every place, so that the overall, I guess, configuration of the rooftop, or the profile of the rooftop will not change, but it will be raised. It's as though you're just stretching that up 2 feet.
And then what's the railing?
The railing would be wrought iron, and it would be stepped back from the parapet.
How far back?
So go to the plan view, Jason.
I apologize, it's the computer, it's lagging.
Okay, so this railing will go directly behind the
About a
parapet
foot back.
By about a foot from the face of the
And
building.
how high above the 2 feet will it go?
Above the 2 feet,
The 2 feet
Right.
extension of the parapet?
yes, so that would be, the total, it's 46 inches, so it would be roughly,
42 inches.
yeah, I'm sorry, 42 inches?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but you have some, the parapet will come up above that somewhat.
So approximately is okay.
Yeah, about 32 inches.
32, yeah,
About 30, 33.
will be the projection of that above the parapet.
So that'll
And that
be-
is only on the lowest part, because the parapet steps up higher.
But the wrought iron is the same.
Correct, the wrought iron is the same.
Is the design, the design meant for the wrought iron to, so minimize the view of the penthouse from somewhere?
The rods and screens?
It's just
is
for
that-
safety.
For safety, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, otherwise, yeah.
That's
Because
why it
people
has-
will be walking,
Yes.
around. okay.
And that's why the 42 inches.
Oh, okay.
Right, because
right.
all of this, Betsy, this will be space where people will be sitting and
Oh,
and
I see.
occupying.
Okay,
It will be outside, it will be a deck,
right,
this will be the interior portion.
okay. And so the visibility of the wrought iron from the street, that it will be visible from the street, is that right, or not?
From that, again, going back to the rendering, which is the best way that we can determine the visibility, the very top portion would be visible from the street,
Okay.
right here. As you can see, it steps up
Yeah,
there, and so it disguises the view.
And what's gonna be the dimension, I mean, what's the separation on the wrought iron, how?
Right, so between the rails will be 3.5 inches, which is per code. You don't want anything more than that because people can go through it, little kids especially, you don't, and also it's a very, it's actually, it's interesting, it's actually determined also so people can't get their heads stuck in between the rail, so.
And then will it be like a rounded, bigger rail at the top, or what?
Correct. I think if you, I can't remember if there is a detail on that, on the elevation.
We could provide a detail.
Yeah, you can kind of zoom in and get a pretty good idea of what it would look like, but we could provide an exact detail on that. It will be really, I can't even, something probably similar to what you have outside this building, but it's just a very traditional wrought iron railing.
That would, we would match it to the existing little section of railing on the sidewalk, on the street,
Mhm.
right, on Court Street.
Oh,
And then can you tell us about the Court Street parapet wall and what's gonna happen there?
Yes. There we go. Again, it will be very similar to what the, it will be similar to what is existing, I'm sorry, it's similar to what we're doing on the side, in that basically the steps, the proportions of that front elevation will stay the same, but again, we're just adding 2 feet to every portion of that, so that you have the same profile, but the entire thing is raised 2 feet.
right.
Where does that stop? I mean, are you gonna,
It would go around, all the way around the building until you go into where the elevator shaft is. And then from there, you would have the glass wall. Because the penthouse goes against that side.
And actually, it could just sort of follow basically what's on the Court Street side,
Yeah.
right, not Court, Main Street side, on around, so it's kind of a.
well, none of us have considered what it looks like from Valley Street. And that's historic district too.
So right, the proposal is just for the parapet wall to stay like it is on that side?
It would be raised as well. It would,
Well, I mean, so
There's not really a parapet wall there, is there?
it is
Yeah.
a bit lower than the Main Street side, but it would just be, in a sense, we would maintain the same proportions that are existing all the way around.
Well, could you speak a little bit to the view from Valley Street? Right now, the view from Valley Street is very pronounced.
right, it is. So the view from Valley, if you want to go to that elevation.
Seems like if you're adding 6 inches of insulation and then you're adding 12 inches of structure, you would have to raise it on that elevation.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be raised on that elevation.
Yeah.
Yes. So, right, so this is the view, this was that Valley Street facing side of the building. Again, you can see the elevator shaft right here. This would be the glass penthouse. This would actually be a dumbwaiter that would be used for the restaurant space. Again, you have the William King house is right here, and so that it would be somewhat visible from that side.
So it would be visible from Valley Street and coming up Court Street, as well as from the garden yard of the William King house, as well as the Stewart house next door.
I can't say exactly how visible that would be from the
Okay.
garden of the William King,
Okay.
because again, you're looking almost straight up,
Oh,
so
right.
I don't know, exactly what that would look like.
What's the material for the dumbwaiter?
The material from the dumbwaiter would be a hardy board material that would be painted to match color of the brick as much as possible to kind of make it disappear. That, from that view, the only way you can see that would be, you would catch just a glimpse of it here and there from either Plum Alley or Valley Street as you're driving up. So that's not something that's readily visible. Again, I can't speak to that exactly because we don't have renderings of that exact view. So I can't say, definitively exactly what you would see.
And
Well, as one of the neighbors that's 2 doors down from this, I'd kind of like to see what you are going to do for that dumbwaiter, and I'm not sure that hardy board is something that is in our guidelines.
And what we could do that with a brick veneer as well. That would match the existing brick.
And, so in the original plan that we approved, there was no penthouse. So
There was a penthouse.
Well, there was a
Right.
There was a small area that was much smaller, and we didn't get into the details of that because it wasn't gonna be visible.
Right, so from this elevation, the approved version would have come, to right here. So you wouldn't have this, but everything else would essentially been exactly the same, because the stairs came up here, and we held them to this side of the building to keep them from being visible.
And so I think some of what our logic was based on the guideline, which says that the roof additions should be set back from the principal facade of the building. And that architecturally is not one of the principal facades.
And can you tell us about the details of the penthouse? I mean, what it's gonna be constructed of and what it's gonna look like, because we really have not talked about that.
Absolutely. So that will be a bronze, metal, aluminum storefront type material going around with the building. And we are open to changing that if need be, but as planned would be the bronze aluminum. Primarily because it will not be that visible
Right.
from the street view. And so, again, the idea is to minimize how much of it you can see from the street as much as possible.
But that was my concern, because I don't think we initially got into it very much at all, because it was not gonna be visible. But as it's turned out, it's enlarged, and it is
Right, it was
still gonna be
less,
visible from
right, it was
Valley
less
Street.
visible. Again, I think your logic last time was that it was not visible from the primary, from the principal facade. It still would have, I guess, you could have caught a glimpse of it before, from the Valley Street side, but again, that is not the principal facade of the building, so I think the logic was that, it wasn't as much of a concern.
The glass would be clear, tinted,
It would be
mirrored.
clear.
Our responsibility is from a view from any public street. So the view from Valley Street does have to be taken into consideration
Right, right.
in this.
It, perhaps, we get a rendering done,
What that will
from
look
that
like.
side.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think that would be important.
Certainly.
I have one more question, and it's a design question, actually. And it's really definitely a question. So, in this pertains to the fact that the new parapet is essentially an addition to the original parapet.
Yeah.
So, in your design eye, is it going to be aesthetically right? It's not going to be unbalanced and an inappropriate height to the rest of the building?
I personally like the proportions of it. You can see it well in that rendering. So I don't think it detracts at all.
Okay.
I almost feel like the original builders stopped short a little, perhaps to conserve material, because it puts the top edge, the Summers precast
So
very
there's a,
close to
right.
the top head.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
That
And
was-
this will actually, that precast emblem that says Summers and
Mhm.
gives the date of the building
Mhm.
will now actually be centered in that space, whereas before it was off-centered and more towards the top of the parapet, which,
Okay.
again, I think, in some ways, I think this, in some ways, it's an improvement. I did want to provide a little bit of context for, what the end vision for all of this really is. Obviously, this is something that is very visible. It's one of the main buildings in the downtown historic area, and it's something that will affect the community. Our goal, and again, we've had to keep this somewhat quiet because we've been making preparations for it, but our goal will be to put a restaurant, a fine dining restaurant in the top, and this will actually be run by Charlie Berg, who's mine and David's brother. And Charlie, if you'll humor me, I would like to kind of have him share a little bit what the vision for the restaurant is. Again, just to give you context for, I know this is not directly related to your scope, but I do want to provide a little bit of context for the overall project. So Charlie, if you don't mind, I'll kind of list his credentials. Charlie studied restaurant management at the French Culinary Institute. In 2011, he passed the advanced exam for the elite court of master sommeliers, joining the ranks of only 400 wine professionals worldwide to have passed this incredibly difficult 5-day examination process. He has worked as a sommelier and wine director in some of the world's finest restaurants, including the Four Seasons Bourbon Steak in Washington, D.C. That was one of Joe Biden's favorite restaurants. Blue Hill at Stone Barns, which was featured in the Netflix documentary Chef's Table and was named the 11th best restaurant in the world by the prestigious World's 50 Best Restaurant list. After that, he went to New York, and he was part of the award-winning sommelier team at 11 Madison Park. While he was there, 11 Madison Park was named the best restaurant in the world by the World's 50 Best Restaurant list. And Charlie is moving here from Houston, where he has served as an advising sommelier for Landry's Incorporated, which is one of the nation's largest restaurant groups. And so this really would provide an incredible opportunity for the community, something that really will become a destination for people really nationwide to come here and enjoy Abingdon and enjoy the beautiful view of the downtown from the rooftop, if this is able to proceed. So Charlie is just gonna give a couple minute snapshot of kind of what this might look like.
Certainly.
All right, okay, on this spot.
Welcome, Charlie.
Hello?
Hello, it's great to see everybody, by the way. I'm
Good to
just,
see you.
Haven't seen you in a long time.
yeah, it's wonderful to see some beautiful, familiar faces, so, good evening, great members of the Historic Board. I'm really thrilled just to be kind of back, and, I wanna really first thank all of you, and of course, in lieu of thanking generations of the Historic Board and Review Board and Society for, protecting, the integrity of this really unique and just awesome region at this town. To me is really special. I feel like every kind of childhood memory I've had of the region is really tied to this kind of a historic feature. I remember at St. Thomas Episcopal Church, Ben Smith, my old friend, and I used to help waltz each other through the little cloister there and get into all sorts of trouble on those grounds, and then running around terrorizing vendors at the Highlands Festival on the Martha's Green, and just I'm really, one of my greatest kind of joys coming back here was the realization that, wow, this Abingdon is Abingdon still. It's been protected, and so many towns and communities and regions don't stay protected, don't stay the same, and they change, and often not for the best, unfortunately. But Abingdon is still beautiful. Abingdon, I love that. So I'll be really brief, and thanks for indulging us and letting me just say hello. I did come back and did have somewhat of a vision for, I was kind of re-inspired by both the region and by Abingdon specifically. And thinking, this is an incredible part of the country. And when I did spend a lot of time in the Northeast and also Houston, Texas, but coming back here, I do realize how special this community is and how special Abingdon is. And
We
again,
won't disagree.
you won't, good, yeah, you've been a big part of protecting that, so thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, I think our vision really is nothing, and Nathan's intro was beautiful, and thanks for putting up with my little brothers. Have they been behaving themselves? and Alex, Bill, my new brothers. No, seriously, I'm really, really proud of them and their dedication to detail and precision, and for their really good work. But yeah, we just really inspired by the idea of community here in Abingdon, and having a place. I don't know that even. I don't even know that national acclaim is really the goal at all. But so much is just celebrating Abingdon. To put it in to put it in words, it is difficult to put feelings and thought and imagery into words, but the idea of being able to relax, truly enjoy what Abingdon is. I remember I had a chance to walk up to the rooftop and looking out and seeing a view of the Blue Ridge Mountains that I had never seen before is just breathtaking. And the idea of being able to kind of capture the feeling of Jane Austen late summer meets historic Abingdon meets a wine vineyard. You know, kind of get that feeling, a little bit lazy, a little bit relaxed, and just celebrating, I think, what is an incredible just view of the town, and giving people a real community spot where you could come off the Creeper Trail, and then you're lifted up into this airy, light space, and you can see all the beautiful buildings, and you see the Blue Ridge Mountains, and have a quiet glass of wine, and really creating a little bit of a kind of, a village oak tree approach to being able to just relax and come to a place that is remarkable and unique and celebrates Abingdon. That's our idea. So that's the goal, bringing in a lot of wine experience and hospitality, yes, but the idea of being kind of letting this be the town's spot, and just having a beautiful place to get together. It's great to see all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I say something?
Hopefully I'll be one of the first to
And
have some of your.
You're all invited.
Yeah. Just don't let my wife run a tab.
Right. So,
Let me ask you.
yes.
So obviously there's been some adjustments made here that are helpful in terms of the conspicuousness of the.
Right.
Is there anything that can be done with regard to the elevator shaft in light of the fact that it's, 4 feet closer and 2 feet taller? Is there any?
So, I actually, I had a conversation with Mr. Yeary, and I value his historic, I guess, his eye for historic architecture. And I was asking him, I said, is there anything that we could do to that elevator shaft to kind of just make it better? And he had a great suggestion, that he said, well, what if you kind of just, corbel the top out just a little bit, made it look like it was a chimney. I thought, well, that's not a bad idea. It's a small brick detail that definitely would not make it more conspicuous, but at the same time, it would, I feel like, make it look like it fits with the architecture of the building better.
I know I speak for all of us, and thank you, Charlie, and all of us have that same vision and want very much for this to happen. And we want very much for you to give us something that we can approve. That is exactly what all of us want. But we have got to make sure that it is appropriate and can be approved. And
That's right.
it's all about design. I'm looking at your designer over here.
He's a good one.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And so, these questions that we're asking are all so important. We really do want to approve it, but we can't approve it until it is appropriate.
Right.
And it's the inconspicuous nature of what you're doing is the main thing. And the second thing is the fact that what you are going to do to the parapet is an addition to a historic building. So that's why I asked the question about the, size of it.
Yeah.
Well, in that regard about being inconspicuous, I think, David, that I wouldn't wanna draw attention to it by doing any corbel.
Okay.
Just, just let it be what it is.
Just let it be, okay.
I think you guys have made great strides in trying to make this successful, and this is much, much better than than what we had, and I feel much, much better about it, so, thank you for putting forth a great effort on this. One question I would have that I would be more comfortable with is there a way that we could do a temporary mock-up, cardboard or something with the elevation? That way we can visually look and say, oh, that's perfect. And that wouldn't, something very inexpensive, and I think that would go a long ways for me. You know, I'm really liking what's occurring, but I just want to make sure, like Betsy said, we need to be careful because this is very visual in town, and everybody's eyes are on it now.
Yes.
And so we have to be careful too.
Yeah,
So would that be something?
That's definitely possible.
So,
I mean, it would be very helpful if you could, you know, with, I don't know, 2x4s or burlap or something, show what gets hidden by that parapet wall going up
Mhm.
2 feet around. That
So-
would be.
We could do, we could certainly do that, and we've actually, we actually built a mock-up for the Bristol, Hotel's rooftop. So we did something similar for that, when that was being passed. And so, we could certainly do that. We would be happy to entertain that.
Could you address about the Valley Street view in that also?
Yes,
Okay.
so what we could do, again, that, it does become difficult because from the valley side does have, quite a bit going on between where you would be looking, where you'd be viewing, and where the facade would be. So from kind of a rendering perspective, that might be somewhat challenging, but we will certainly look at doing a rendering from that side.
Would y'all be, open to an actual, real life photograph from that view that is, we could then digitally modify to show,
Mhm.
so it's an
Yeah,
actual photograph?
that would actually probably be the,
Or would it be possible, and I don't know what it's like up there, to take us up there and actually show it
we
to us
would,
in
we
person?
would love, I was actually thinking this whole time, man, I wish we could just do this, with you guys actually there. So we would love for you guys to come and look at everything actually on site. That would
I
be
mean,
great.
for me, I need to be a little more visual, so
Yeah.
that would really help me.
Absolutely, we would be open to that, certainly.
And let me ask one more thing. So, again, I guess the most important overriding principle of all this for us is making the additions as inconspicuous as possible. That's the buzzword. So, to the extent that the elevator shaft or the penthouse, I mean, the penthouse is still going to be visible no matter what you do. It's going to be visible from Valley Street. I think it's still going to be visible from Main Street on past the courthouse. Like when there's a long view there, it's still going to be, I think no matter what, there's going to be parts you're going to be seeing. So, right now your proposal is, basically a bronze metal glass box, which is very different than the architectural style of this building. I mean, have you put any thought into trying to still keep the view you're going for with the windows, but make that addition, make that penthouse more in line with the materials and design and look of the existing building, so that if you do see it, at least it's, again, less conspicuous because it blends in with the building more. I mean, is that a possibility?
Yes, absolutely. One thing we thought would be to make that, appear like a wooden storefront, similar to what would be on the first floor. And just some things to consider, that is whether you would notice that type of detailing from the ground. I'm not sure if you would or not. And then also, we would, if it were painted white wood, let's say, that would probably stand out. The white would honestly reflect more light, and it would probably make it somewhat more visible. So I guess it's trying to
See, I
find
don't
that
know, I've been
balance.
struggling with the same thing. I
Yeah.
don't know if it,
Makes it better or makes it
if
worse.
it goes with
Yeah.
the rest of the building, it may be less conspicuous because
Right.
it's just consistent.
Right,
It's there.
yeah, I
Whereas
guess it's sort
a
of
big
how.
glass box is
Yeah,
not going to
yeah.
blend in
I
with
guess
this
it's-
building.
I'd say that.
Especially from the Valley Street side.
Right, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think that
the-
is
the
critical
front of the
on that side, yeah. And to a certain extent, this wasn't on our radars much because you have those sycamore trees
Right.
right there.
Oh,
That
right.
really,
That's right.
Changed things.
really changed things. We
It
didn't
did.
realize, as we, from a design perspective, as we walked around and trying to figure out, okay, what's this gonna look like from here, with the sycamore trees that just didn't stand out very much, and then when those came down, it was almost a little bit of a shock.
Sad to see those come down.
Yeah, to see kind of, wow, look, you really can see that perspective.
Were you planning on having any landscaping up there, or umbrellas, or what's gonna be, else is gonna be up there besides the
We might
structure?
have some planters with some kind of, shrubbery and trees.
I'm just trying to figure out what else we're gonna see. what-
Right, architecturally, that would be the extent of it, as presented, it's possible that there could be a sunshade or something like that.
And lighting, you're gonna have lighting up there too, right? So
Correct.
is it gonna be a big glow with all that glass, and we're gonna see that big, all that open space with lighting up there at night, or?
It would be, obviously the lighting would be very soft lighting.
But you're not tinting the windows. I guess what I was saying was like the lighting from inside coming out with all that glass, it's clear glass, I think is what you
Right.
said.
I think the effect would probably be similar to what you would get from the third story or second story, light coming from within. So, yeah, it's possible you might see, you may see that it's not just a black sky, but you're not gonna have a glow.
Right,
We
there
would want to
won't be-
avoid that completely.
Yeah.
Well,
It'd definitely be a warm, soft, warm.
So it sort of sounds like where we're headed to is it would be useful to us if you could do a mock-up to show us what the increased parapet wall is going to hide, so that we can see that. And, perhaps, and put more attention into addressing the Valley Street view and how that's going to look. And, I think there's some concern about the dumbwaiter, although I think it would be helpful for us to, I think all these things would be helpful for us to go and look at
I
once
do
you
too.
have the mock-up up.
Mhm.
So, it sounds like we're headed toward
It sounds like
tailoring
a-
this for right
yeah.
now, letting you do that, and then us coming for a visit. Is that what I'm hearing from everyone? Is that?
I think, yes, and I think from the positive note of this is I think we're going in the right direction.
I think we're going in the right
And I
direction
think
too.
we're
Yeah,
probably
I
doing
think it
good.
looks, I like a lot of it, I'm just not sure about the Valley Street side.
Right, you wanna be
I
sure
think
of
with the
that.
few
We're
tweaks, I
back to the
think
two
we're
columns here, right?
close.
So what we're trying to preserve was that?
Yeah, basically, what we're working on right now is just trying to find a structural column that matches the.
Right, so what we're trying to do is find a way to have the single column right now.
Yeah, I think that's, we shouldn't lose sight of that. That's kind of gotten lost in all the rest, but that's gonna be extremely important that those storefronts replicate what was there.
Right, those details. And what we're doing essentially is taking that photo and we will be matching that, using that as our reference point and matching that as closely as we possibly can.
I've seen them made before out of cast iron, but
Yeah,
They
the
did.
the front are cast iron.
They're cast iron and they don't make those anymore.
that was a federal.
In the entire building. So
Yeah,
we have to be
they
very
definitely-
careful. If we try to move those, even if we find I guess the engineering challenges that we're wrestling with trying to remove those two columns
Mhm.
is that, and replace it with a single column, is that even if we find a single column that will hold the structure, there will still be shifting, even if it's a small amount, when we move those out, and we want to make sure that we can do this in a safe way. So this is a continual process. As of right now, we're trying to keep the single columns, but, you know, that's something that we may have to look at in the future. Just
Are those two columns in the same place where the original column would have been? I mean, I know they're to the side.
they're set back, so the best we can do, just by kind of going through the forensics of trying to figure out this old building, is that when they built put in the new CMU to replace the glass, I believe they put those columns in so that would be inside the CMU wall. And at that point, they probably removed the old cast iron, because the cast iron, we believe, might have projected out more from the face of the building. And so, you know, it's not totally clear. Again, there's no clear picture that we can find of exactly what that looked like, but that's our best guess.
But yeah, we're doing everything, you know, we're exploring every venue to be able to go back to how the picture that you guys provided.
So how quickly do you think you can get us a mock-up? Tomorrow?
So,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
right now, there's water currently coming into the building,
Yeah, it's
every
not
time
as-
it rains.
Not as bad as it was, but it's,
Yep. So
it
we
is
are,
dribbling a little bit.
so we can't, I've studied this picture, more than a human probably
And
should.
they,
Well, you know, I think that down at the, what is the cider company?
Yeah, the spring house,
Aren't those storefronts the same?
they're
Similar.
similar, yeah,
Similar.
they're
I mean,
similar.
they have
Some
they have the bay, the three
Mhm.
bay, the three pane transom, and they have the under,
Yeah.
the wainscoting and bulkhead under there, it's the same.
Right,
so-
as far as the
And the column is in front?
right, the broad strokes of it, as far as we
Yeah.
can tell, was
I'm sure it was built at the same time.
right, it is, yeah. So we're
Built by
using,
the same
definitely
person.
using that as a reference point, and then also the historic photos.
So do I understand that you're going to table this proposal now and then have us
Yes,
come?
correct.
And when would you like to do that?
well, I mean, if we could do it as early as next week, that'd be great.
So what day next week do you think? How quickly could we get the
Right.
rendering and the
Could have at the same time we have the Mama Meeting. The Mama Meeting second.
If we said, Tuesday, would that?
I think Tuesday works for me.
And all of you, none of you are getting paid to do this, and it's also a very difficult job. And so I really appreciate your willingness to work with us on this.
Well, we appreciate your patience.
Yes.
It's
Well-
it's gonna get
You're a
worked
good
out.
cheer,
Yeah,
you're
I
a good
think,
cheer and
yeah,
patience.
I think
It's
Tuesday's
an
good.
important
Tuesday's good
project,
for
but
me.
It is,
It's not
yeah.
So
without its challenges.
it is, right.
is everybody available Tuesday
Yeah.
afternoon at 5:15?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That
Tuesday
work
it
for
is.
you guys?
It's Tuesday, what?
The 13th? Is that correct?
I'd have to look at my.
Yeah, I have it right here, the 13th.
I'll make sure I'll tell the public that the mock-up is not permanent, so they don't.
Right,
freak out or whatever
yeah,
with
and
Brian's
I was a
burlap.
little hesitant to do anything up
You
there.
don't have to use burlap if you wanna use something else.
Right, what we might do, is the yellow, snow fencing, the orange snow
Yeah.
fencing. That gives you a pretty good visual, something for your eye to really lock onto, and it's easy to kind of wrap around that's kind of what we did. For
When,
this
when
one,
could
though.
we come and actually see it in person too? Do you-
In person, you can come by anytime you want, and, you know,
Just
you
let
could
us
come
know
by.
when you get a hard time.
Well,
Yeah.
I was thinking that maybe we could just meet there at
Meet there,
5:15
that's what I'm
Tuesday,
thinking.
and then come back here.
Yeah, can we come at 5 o'clock or something?
Absolutely, yeah, and if anybody wants to come earlier than that, that's fine. Again, we'll give you a hard hat and walk you through, and if somebody wants, if you wanna spend a little bit more time to kind of look through.
So should we just start there?
Yeah, I think if we start there
Yeah.
Tuesday, if that works
Yeah,
for
and
you.
actually, we will be having.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I may be a few steps behind you, but yes.
Okay,
Well, we
and
can just do it 5:15.
No, 5's fine.
Okay.
I'll be coming
Okay.
from,
if anybody wants to come on Thursday at 4:30, we'll be doing a progress walkthrough, and that would be a good time.
Maybe
if you-
tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow, goodness, yeah. Tomorrow, again, that wouldn't have to be part of the official, walkthrough, but if you wanted to get a preview, that would be fine too.
That's at 4:30?
4:30 tomorrow. Yep, you're, welcome to take a look.
And, yeah, we would, as kind of, you guys are guardians of the historic value of Abilene, would definitely like to have an opportunity to show y'all what we're doing inside as well.
Yes.
If you do, if I can interject, if you do go tomorrow at 4:30, please, 2 at a time. Mr. Bell would tell me that it would be an official meeting if it's 3 in the morning.
Oh,
Okay,
gosh.
that's good to know.
Yes.
Maybe we better just wait.
I think
I
we
think
should
we'll
do
just
it.
wait
I think
till-
we
yeah,
just
we
wait.
don't wanna
It's
break any
fine, just
rules.
as long as you're not going.
I think we
you're
should
not-
wait anyway.
Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you feel comfortable with, I'm
That's
just letting
fine.
you know that if you have an
Yeah.
opinion. Yes.
You have business to
I
do
might
tomorrow.
just wait.
Okay, so we'll plan on convening there Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
Tuesday, 5 o'clock. That will be an official meeting with the agenda indicating that it's a walkthrough at 5 o'clock on site, and then here after for special call.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you-
and does that give you enough time to advertise?
I need 3 days, so that
Do
should.
you
that
also
should be
want to
fine.
tell the guy from the Starving Artist if he wants to come back that day at 5:30?
I will do my best.
All right.
All right, thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
again.
Thank you very much.
All right, is there any public comment?
Good meeting.
You can go if you want, you don't have to wait.
I
till
didn't know, there weren't some,
That's already
Charlie.
out of here.
Thank
Good
you
to
all.
see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a while. Good to see you, buddy.
Okay, the next item is the preservation plan discussion.
Oh, come on.
What? So, we don't have to get into that tonight, this has been a long meeting, but I did, here's a copy of everything that I guess we were looking at before that has all the different,
Thank you.
just to make sure everybody has it.
Oh, thank you.
So there's that's both the plan that we
Wow,
were
that's,
doing and.
I need glasses to read that.
So there's all sorts of information here, but I guess we can say that till the next time unless somebody really wants to take it off.
I say we save it till the next time.
Okay. Any business matters not on the agenda? Any announcements? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to
We all moved that.
Roll call?
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver? Mrs. White?
Aye.
Mr. Geezer?
Aye. All right, good meeting.
All right, very good, very good.